Good day everyone, and my name is Captain Jack, and welcome back to a Colony Wars behind the scenes video. Today I'm here with Aaron, Last Line Gamers, and we're going to be answering some of your questions about the series.
Now, we have some spectacular questions from you. Now, of course, we can't answer them all, but we've picked out 10, haven't we, Jack? 10 that are quite interesting.
Indeed, 10 questions, so that's 5 from my channel and 5 from Aaron's channel. Now, hopefully we have captured some of the best questions, some were repeated, but we've got some here which will hopefully give you a little bit of information about what's happening in the next half of the series.
Will there be new worlds and locations featured in this next half of the series?
So yes, new worlds and locations are going to be featured in the series heavily. We thought we'd spice it up a bit as we spent quite a long time on the Earth-like planet and at the bases, so we thought now bringing it into space and a new location as well, as you can tell via the trailers, it would be pretty interesting. So both teams are starting in what is technically a completely different location this time, so hopefully we're going to see an interesting dynamic between both POVs. I think you agree, Aaron, right?
What should be good about this is ideally we should get a good mixture of both combats. As the sort of series kind of matures, we'll end up more with the space combat, you could say, and more towards the beginning having more planetary combat. So hopefully it'll strike the right sort of balance, if you understand what I mean.
Indeed, it's going to be pretty interesting to see the dynamic of battles. Obviously, different starts, it's going to be pretty interesting to see which team has to overcome certain challenges based on their current starting location. Because on the first bit of the series, everyone was on the ground on Earth, so it was kind of a bit vanilla in a way. So now it's shaken up a bit. It's going to be interesting to see the teams work hard and work together. Alright, number 2 question. Will more mods be added?
Now, this is something we both discussed quite a lot. You've changed the actual weapons pack, haven't you? That's the main sort of addition we've started.
Indeed, so we're now phasing out the battle cannons and turrets mod just because it was a little bit OTT and not balanced properly, in favour of adding in the MechSpecs of Warfare Industries mod. If you want links of these, we'll drop them down into the description so you can download them yourself. Another thing worth mentioning is we are unfortunately getting rid of the laser mod. The sole reason behind this is that it does not currently work on dedicated servers, so it's a bit of a shame when using it you can't actually see these giant beams of light going across the server, but alas, until it's fixed we're going to remove it temporarily. So yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. The shield mod is also in here, so don't worry, you will see it at some point this season.
Now, the next question is, do we stage all the fights, or do we just go into the battle and see what ends up happening?
So this is a pretty interesting question. We get quite a lot about the battles in Colony Wars as they do end up going a certain way. No, we do not stage the fights. We do help them along in a little way, and that is by basing the location between both teams. As Space Engineers is so large, we don't want to be wandering around for 4 hours trying to find each other. So commonly me and Aaron as the team leaders will agree on a set coordinates of where the first battle of that episode will happen. Take the last battle of the previous season in December, we agreed that it would happen over the old colony base, as it is a location everyone knows of, so we know where to meet. However, we don't impact the way the battle goes. Personally, with myself and Aaron, we like seeing the way everything goes in a natural sort of environment.
But saying that, Jack, sometimes the battles just happen. Like sometimes a recon mission might turn into a little bit of a firefight, and then you call another ship, and sometimes the battle doesn't even need any initial direction. It's literally just happening, and it's an action-packed situation full of regrettable consequences if you lose a few ships.
Exactly, so Colony Wars is full of what I would class as real PvP as well. It's not scripted at all. People do end up just having these like fights sometimes that can evolve into big battles. You've seen this quite a few times throughout the series as well. The one was where Rodney the Rover ventured over to our base. Suddenly, a full war almost broke out between teams. It did get quite funny for a while.
Even the caravan, when the caravan ventured over, that was not supposed to attack. That was literally just a recon position, and it ended up getting shot out and going in for this horrible attack run where your base defenses tore it. So there's loads of little mini action bits that happen without any hints at all.
You'll commonly find a lot of this series is not actually planned the way it should go. For instance, me and Aaron didn't sit down and plan how the helicarrier would meet its fate at a failed ramming attempt. Personally, that was an on-the-spot moment with me for, do you know what, we'll end this episode with a bang. So we flew the helicarrier over in an attempt to ram it, and hey, Aaron lost, I think you lost 1 or 2 ships from that, didn't you? Whereas we lost the whole carrier because we blew it up
The
as well.
best thing about that, though, was when that missile came down, the shock that you can see of you on your face is like, hang on, there's something coming in from the sky, and then next to it, this shoots into the deck, and you see that one warhead remaining, and the panic of everyone on the crew is just amazing. It's that sort of moment. It's just like, how did that even happen? But
Exactly. You can't plan these moments in some series. That's why it's best to leave it like that, because you get the honest and real reactions. And sometimes, just to throw in a little bit of detail there for people, me and Aaron sometimes don't tell the rest of the team what we've got planned for it in order to get the real and proper reactions from the rest of the team members when something does blow up in their face. Personally, I find that quite funny. Will there be more players in the next half? Aaron, do you want to do this one?
basically, to summarize this, there won't be more than the 10v10 initially. Now, there's always a chance that more players will be put in to cause some trouble, have some interesting events, but we found this 10v10 works for the minute, don't
Indeed, 10v10 is a manageable number of people for us. You think that's 20 that we have to organize on a weekly basis, so it can get quite hectic after a while. So yeah, we're happy with 10v10 on each team. Obviously, the numbers have dwindled and changed over the last couple of months. A thing to remember that I just wanted to touch on is that members come and go from a series all the time, mostly due to IRL circumstances. Out of everyone in the series, only myself and Aaron do YouTube as a full-time thing, therefore we can afford to devote the time to doing Colony Wars full time. Other people have jobs, schedules, and personal life things to go to, so they can't always commit to the series. That's why sometimes you'll see members come in and then maybe leave in a couple months. It's nothing personal, it's just part of life and how it goes. So another common question, just to build onto this one, is a lot of people ask both myself and Aaron, how can we be a part of the Colony Wars series? It's a question we get all the time, and I'm going to give you a sort of light answer on this today. So the best way for you to potentially join the series in the future is to get to know us, and that doesn't mean stalking us. It means becoming part of the community, essentially. So interacting with Discord, the comment section, so we essentially see you at some point, is the best way to do things. I frequently sit and chat in my Discord server, so does Aaron sometimes, and we do end up knowing and seeing certain members in there. And if we feel we like them to a degree and think they could bring a very cool personality to the series, then we may invite them. Now, this is a very rare occasion, but it should give you some hints on how we acquire people for the series. Essentially, if we find a personality quite cool and they've interacted with the community quite a lot, we will take them on board. Aaron, did you have anything to add?
No, that pretty much summarizes the situation exactly. It is get involved in the community, join the Discord, have a chat with people, even join the Space Engineer service. You run 2 of them, don't you, Jack? That are great for little battles and stuff. And then sometimes, if you're lucky, like I said, if you're lucky, you might get a chance to join the series, really.
Indeed, we sort of share the Discord at the minute, and we've kind of running a couple of public servers on there for Space Engineers. So if you want to get a Colony Wars experience, come and join one of them. And who knows, we might spot you on there one day. It could be pretty cool.
Will each faction acquire shield technology this year?
Awesome, so this is a pretty cool question. We've got quite a lot. Shields is obviously something we restricted out of the last 35 episodes, as they can become quite overpowered. We will see them at this part in the next half of the season, but not right away, because they are quite powerful, and they do change the dynamic of the battle quite fast. I want to try and get in at least one battle without the shields, so we can see some more armor being ripped to shreds, and then maybe we'll introduce them. But keep an eye out, as we may sneak them in a little bit earlier.
On top of that as well, the way we like to introduce these weapons, we like to do it in a little bit of a cinematic or sort of a, fight for that next bit of technology, don't we, Jack? So we like to kind of do it in a way when shields come in, there might be a little bit of a story of how we can get shields, and we'll both fight to get shields. It won't just be as simple as they pop into the world and next minute everyone's running around with shields. It's just a great way of doing it, and it makes it really fun.
Indeed, we learned this on how we introduced the lasers as well. Obviously, we had to end up giving our team the lasers because they were ridiculously overpowered at one point and would have annihilated one other team. So yeah, luckily the lasers have been removed now and the shields are a bit more of a balanced mod. But yes, they are coming this mid-season, so keep an eye out for it. Alright, next question. Are we going to see more of a story/plot featured in this half of the series?
Well, I think we can both answer this by saying we're both ramping up the production quality of the videos in terms of cinematics at the beginning and at the end. Now, these things won't be full-on movies at the beginning or the end, but they'll be things that kind of either tease what's just happened in the last episode or kind of introduce you to the scene of the next one, if that's correct on your end as well, Jack.
Definitely. So we wanted to take more of a cinematic sort of approach to the series, but not totally take it away from its survival aspect. So you're still going to see the same 2 episodes every week of the survival aspect, but we're going to ramp up the production quality, like Aaron said, by having the intros and the outros of these subsequent sessions set in a more of a cinematic limelight. So a nice little intro and a little bit of a hint of what's happening in the outro. So you can get behind the story and the plot and hopefully get involved with it. We're also delighted to announce we're introducing a community wiki based on Colony Wars. So if you do want to get involved in that, check out the description of the video, as there will be a link to it.
Right, the next question is, what are our funniest moments in Colony Wars so far? So what's yours, Jack?
Well, one of mine would probably be when we first introduced the waffle iron. It's become sort of a big meme on the channel so far, and it's just one of those spur of the moment things. Again, we never planned to have the waffle iron. Kraz built it, and he started opening and closing it like a clamshell, and I just made the noises for it, and bang! In that last like 30 seconds, the waffle iron was born, and we're probably going to see it at least in the next season as well. So that's probably one of my funniest moments. Aaron, I think I know what your one is. So what's
Yeah.
yours?
Oh God, no. The word. It was probably the funniest and the worst moment ever. But when the caravan rams into the back of the laser ship, and the laser ship literally disintegrates. But the worst part is, we're on the way to destroy Jack's base, and all that I have left is just a seat, and I am just floating down to the ground in this little chair. Oh, it was horrible and hilarious at the same time. I was literally crying, and I had to be careful just not to just break into a fit. It's one of them. It's funny, but you've just
At the
lost
same time, it's
hours.
like,
Yeah,
oh.
hours of work lost in seconds. It's
Because I
horrible.
think you built that ship over like 4 episodes, and this was the episode where we'd finally see what damage it would do, and it never got to fire a single shot at
Well,
the
we
enemy.
tested it as well. It was like the first ship the drone army actually went out and tested. We tested it on the old colony base. We tested different ranges, different altitudes, see what was effective, and we're like, yes, this thing is going to cut the struts straight off on the Jack's new construction, and it didn't make it there. And in
Because I think
the,
the target was the helicarrier, wasn't it,
yeah,
when it was in its building
it was
stage?
it was a time when nobody was really getting wise, to the construction things. Everyone was still building on these really rickety scaffolding poles. Like now, everyone welds them up, so we can't really mess them up as easy. And they build multiple scaffolding poles. But I think your ship was held up by 2 poles, and I thought, right, we're cutting them
Yeah, it
off.
was.
It was gonna be so great. It would have changed the whole dynamic of the series completely. You would have had a crashed either helicarrier or dreadnought in your base to deal with, but who knows?
It was quite like a funny episode, especially that caravan doing that sort of suicide ram towards the base. I think that's one of the best sort of battle and cinematic ones we've done so far, as just standing in our base as a character and seeing all the fire towards the caravan, then crashing to the surface. It's like something out of a movie.
The thing I will say about the drone army is we do tend to get carried away. Once someone sees a bit of gunfire, they seem just to run towards it. The sign of blood or whatever that just attracts them in, and you just lose control of the situation temporarily. Like, right, guys, get back quick! And it's just usually too late. They've already blown the ship into oblivion.
So our next question is: will the other half of the drone hive be seen? And I'll let the drone master himself answer this.
Oh, the thing with this one, I wouldn't say it's out of the question. It's out there somewhere. And with all these things, if it's still not been completely destroyed, me and Jack like to leave things in the world, parts of relics of other past creations and whatnot for people to discover. And we've discovered quite a few of them in this latest world. So maybe the hive will be among them. Who knows?
Indeed, it's something we're just touching on at the moment again there. Sort of past creations and stuff in the world is something you are going to see quite a lot in the next half of this season, just to make it quite interesting for you, the community as well, to see these little Easter eggs as well. So make sure to watch the episodes very closely and let us know if you do spot them in the comments, as it will be very interesting to see if you spot them all.
Because we were having this discussion, weren't we, as we were setting up the world the other day, and I was saying to you, wouldn't it be cool? Or well, you said I'll leave something in there for you don't know about, and then you put me something in there I don't know about, so we'll both run across each other's little outposts or something little crazy just to go, hang on, what the hell's this?
Indeed, it's going to be quite funny to see what everyone's laid out for each other, as that way it allows for more of a mystery thing, because us as the content creator and the video recorder aren't going to know what we're walking into for a change. And when you can get that honest and real reaction from the whole team, it is really fun, and it reflects well on the video as well, so you guys can see a truly honest response.
Is Colony Wars moving to space permanently or staying planet side?
Okay, so Colony Wars in Space. It's something people have discussed for quite a while now. As I mentioned earlier in the number one question about the new worlds and locations, there is going to be a vast different amount of locations in the next half of this season. So I think we might as well say it now, because the episode's coming this week, but each team will be starting in a completely different location this time in order to change up the dynamic. You can probably guess from the trailers, so obviously the RWR team, my team, will be starting in space, whereas the drone team will be starting planet side. This will be explained in the first episode, so make sure to tune in on Friday at 7 p.m. GMT, that's the 11th, and you can see how each team is starting. But yes, there is going to be space, and there's going to be planet side, so we're not completely walking away from planets just yet. Aaron, did you want to touch on this?
In the middle as well, that's going to be very interesting, where gravity is going to slightly affect us, where ships could technically be pulled down towards the planet's gravity and then crash. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to affect the builds a lot, and it's going to affect how each team construct. I mean, you might think that they have it easy in space, but we might have it easier since we've got a flat ground to build on. It's going to be very interesting, whatever happens anyway.
It's going to shake up both teams. Like, although we've obviously we're starting with a watchtower station and a rocket, it may seem like we have the advantage straight away. It's definitely not the case, because we've got to sort of work with space while you guys have to work with planet side. So it's a pretty interesting way to see who's got the easiest start. And I wouldn't clarify one start has the best one over each other. They are mainly both equal between each other.
I think it's pretty much like when we had the starts last time. I felt like the starts were very even though they were uneven in different areas. So it's pretty much the same situation. The starts are even, but they're uneven, if that makes any sense. Different elements will stack up in different sorts of ways to make that particular starting location better or worse than the other teams.
To sort of describe how that element works, on the first half of Colony Wars in episode 1, the drone team obviously had the large base to build with, whereas our team, we only had a crash ship, so we had to build a base throughout this. This is why we went with building a base to begin with, and a drone team built with ships to begin with. It switches up that interesting dynamic as well. So we've kind of switched it again with this mid-half season, where we technically have the base, and the drone team don't. It's going to be a pretty interesting one, so make sure to keep your eyes open when watching it, as it's going to be pretty cool. Will the Space Pirates or another faction be featured in this series at some point soon?
Now, me and Jack tested the Space Pirates out. When we originally tested them, we probably did a few things wrong, didn't we? And we did a few things right as well with them. But we both come to the agreement that it wasn't the right time for Space Pirates. But we really do want to throw in another faction or some sort of element that might maybe play a little bit more on the story element rather than being actually a group of players who are out just to destroy us even more. Don't know, add a little bit to that, Jack.
Definitely. So obviously the Space Pirates was something we wanted to throw in at some point, to throw in that sort of, extra like suspense that there is constant action moving around the planet. But obviously we sort of got it wrong in how we planned it. It didn't go as well. And we learned from that experience. As with most things, we are still learning how to sort of do certain things in the series. So with this next half, we are probably going to introduce another faction at some point. However, they are going to be different from the Space Pirates, is something I think we're agreeing on. We don't want to give too much away yet, because it's going to be pretty interesting next half of the season. But just watch closely and you'll start to see hints from the very first episode.
That sounds perfect. I'd be scared. I'd be scared, Jack. The drone army, the drone army are going to be back. We're going to be back stronger than ever, and we're going to take you down. RWI do not stand a chance this season, not at all.
I feel like the Halo Wars ending. If they want a war, we'll give them a war.
It's like one of them MMA fights where they both on the stage like, right, you're going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the main thing as well. We have to both remember that we can't be super competitive, but at the same time, we want to be competitive. So, let's get this series on the road and get everyone enjoying it.
Indeed, like I say, competitiveness is something which can make or break the series, so we don't like to keep it too competitive between each team, but there is still a hint of that there. Like, the drones currently are leading the victory side of things. RWI have blatantly lost, I'd say, because we have nothing at the minute.
I think we did win the planet one, but I still think there's a lot of elements of that fight that you guys did destroy us in, but you also equipped your faction completely differently than we equipped ours. Like you said, we went with just one standard ship, standardized it, and just continued producing, where you guys went with your you had loads of smaller ships, didn't you, that you originally tried engaging us with right at the beginning. And then you found out we had no smaller ships that really did any fighting roles. So it's like a bit of a technological curve.
It is. It's like I say, one of its benefits of the Colony Wars series is seeing how two completely different teams operate in a PvP scenario, and just seeing how each team builds different ships. It's quite fun, realistically, when you look at it as somebody who manages PvP servers, to see how each team responds to certain threats and stuff like that. And it's something we're going to try and make more of in the next half of the season as well. So I definitely urge people to watch closely and keep an eye out, as there's going to be a lot happening in this next half of the season. It's going to be quite fun, and I think we're both excited to show it to you. Starting this Friday, the 11th of January at 7 p.m. GMT. Don't miss it.